History of culture, keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. When you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them, they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up of the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US, and they're telling me super salary. I done fed up of the unemployment racism and the lie they say one Guyana. Cause when you look with the oil money going, circulate with one set of banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea.
Yeah, my name is Jasniti Kaldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
Pleasant good evening, everyone. Welcome to Over to You on this day, the 29th of March, 2025. Welcome to the program, all listeners and viewers. Let me correct myself. Welcome to the program, all freedom fighters. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, you guys know you guys can do your little administrative thing and share the link, share the link, share the link. Welcome to Over to You, a program for the people, by the people, a program that is owned and controlled by the people, a program that is democratic, okay? All right, everyone here has a voice, okay? Everyone on this program has a voice. Welcome, welcome, welcome. On this program, you don't have to be a voice of dissent, because you have a voice. Okay? Welcome to the program, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was just watching the snippet there leading into the program. You know, you can't give Venezuela a channel in the maritime space out to sea, huh? Let's see who is here. Let's see who's here. Sandra Hanover, good evening. Did you agree to give Venezuela any channel in Guyana out to sea? And John, good evening. Did you agree? Miss Desiree Smart Felix, good evening. Good evening, Brenda Nicholson, Sandra Sargent, Mary Figueroa, Yvette Andrade, Lorraine Beat, Wanda London, Susan London, Beverly Ann Romaine, my friend, good evening. Miss Francine Cruz, a pleasant good evening to you. Mavis Davis Wells, good evening. Yvonne Castillo and Kit, good evening. Corinne Day, Dawn Sampson, Debbie Pitt, Jacqueline Johnson, Angela Ben, June Chase, Vashti Magnod, good evening, Miss Vashti. Good evening, Cheryl Glenn, Denise Beard, good evening, Miss Earwill Dawn Cook, a pleasant good evening to you. Carla Madu, my friend, a pleasant good evening to you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Charlene Deuce, good evening. Chandra Paul Mahabir, my friend, good evening, welcome to the program. Elaine Schroeder, good evening. Joyce Prince Kingston, welcome. Cheryl Glenn, welcome. Savitri Rose, good to see you. Pam Halls, good to see you. Eon Harry, good to see you guys. Golly God, you're in the house, my brother. Rihanna Mingo, welcome, Rihanna. Roxanne Galloway, welcome. Neville Kissoon, good to see you, sir. Denise Samuels, welcome. Sister Deborah Sharona Lynch, a pleasant good evening to you. Darkus John, good evening. Eileen Corbett, good evening. Gavin Caesar, my own brother, good evening to you, sir. Welcome to the program. Ron Sultan, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. If I miss your name, I didn't purposely miss it. Sandra Broderson, I see you. Honorable Camille McKenzie, Council of the AFC, good to see you. Denise Booker, I see you here. Beverly Crandon Hudson, Idris Williams, good to see all of you guys. Welcome to the program, guys. Welcome to the program. What a week, right? What a week. Thank you so much, Lemon. Thank you, Lemon. Look at this. I was doing my work, but then I was alerted that this thing was on, that there was a broadcast. So I found the broadcast and I was looking at it, and there was someone giving commentary on the broadcast, and they were saying some of the most horrible things about our sister Melissa Atwell. Right? It seems as if it was someone, not it seems as if, it's definitely somebody from the side of the government. And the government continues, and we know the government had to play a role in what would have happened to Melissa here. But I said it before, it's not who laughs first, it's who laughs last. Okay? It's who laughs last. Our sister is expected back home at any time. That is a good thing. That is a positive thing. I didn't hear the judge give any gag order to her, so she's free to speak, I would think, and will continue to be a voice of dissent in her own time. She needs to be allowed the latitude of time and come on whenever she is ready to do so and speak to the people. In the interim, we have work to do. We may touch on Melissa Atwell a little later on in the show again. But in the interim, we do have a lot of work to do, right? There is a pending election, right? That's very important. I don't believe that you guys want to be sitting in opposition after this elections again, because it's not going to be easy. Okay, this is the first 5 years with an oil-producing Guyana, and we see what would have happened. All right, the government is not engaging the opposition. The government is not really engaging the people. Right now, they're scrambling on the ground. They have all kinds of people, all kinds of individuals campaigning, including the guy from Melanie and stuff. He was in Linden, and he had a live there where he is campaigning on their behalf. Imagine this guy is doing for the PPP what he didn't do when he was on the side of the opposition. I don't know if you guys don't find that interesting, but I really do find it quite interesting. Okay? I see Hazel Johnson. No elections without a clean voters list. Yes, Ms. Johnson, and thank you for bringing up that point, because we were expecting a decision by the acting chief justice this Friday with regards to house registration, but I understand that the decision was postponed for now, as she wants to hear a little bit more, okay, from the participants. So that's on hold for now, but the Council of the Guyana Elections Commission, Mr. De Silva, him and the Attorney General has been locking horns. And I must say, I am of the belief that Attorney General had a lot to do with what would have happened to Melissa Atwell, and his cases across the board are very, very weak. This is a very, very weak Attorney General that Guyana has. He gets into to personal issues and personal conflicts. That position doesn't really have a proper standard. A standard is not being set in that office by the individual who holds that office, and it's quite shameful. It's disgraceful. That's the worst Attorney General Guyana's ever had. I believe that he doesn't possess the necessary competencies to be called Attorney General. But what we see the same thing when we look at the person that is sitting in the seat of the presidency, right? In that office, that person does not have the competency, neither the portfolio to really be. When I talk about portfolio, I talk about the academic portfolio. I don't believe that person have it. Whatever they have is not quite authentic. But hey, that's what was forced upon the Guyanese people, and that is what we had to deal with for the past going on 5 years, right? And I must say kudos to the Guyanese people for hanging in there. Some 53% of you guys continue to live in poverty. Yet I see, ladies and gentlemen, I see people in Barbies jumping up and shouting out PPP. It is funny how Guyana has changed so much that, once somebody's getting some soup, dropping, favorably for them, it's like, forget all of you around me. I don't care about you guys. Okay? The soup is dropping my way. That's it. Right? But I just want to make it clear to all Guyanese, okay, those on the side of the opposition supporters, and PPP supporters. Government is responsible for all Guyanese, not just some. Okay? When the government go to address the issues of normal Guyanese on an individual basis, okay, they should not be asking you what party you voted for. That is your personal business. Whatever happens in that booth when you go to cast your ballot, it is a personal thing. It is not something to be shared. That's why I look and I see all this nonsense, but people allow with cameras and booths and all kind of thing. That is horrible, guys. That is horrible. Look, the government have no class. Guyana has no standards. None whatsoever. There is no standards in Guyana. None. And it's because, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no standards in Guyana. That's why we see all these robberies are happening. Okay? You're seeing a lot of gangs. There is a lot of gangs starting to form in Guyana. Okay? When you see that, okay, it shows you that the youth in the country is being disenfranchised. They are being disenfranchised. Look, when I look at those countries like Ecuador and Guatemala and these countries that have all these gangs and everything, the first thing I pivot to is the government. I pivot to the government, I pivot to poverty. That's why these large economies, when they come to the smaller economies, Guyana do have a striving economy, but Guyana is still a small country, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not get carried away, okay? We are still a small nation, okay? And we ain't no second world country either. Guyana is still a third world country. It is still, we have not developed nearly enough. Don't worry, the couple buildings and all of that stuff. That means absolutely nothing. The roads and all of that stuff. And we're going to get to road. We're going to talk about highways and roads a little bit here. Okay, we are. All right. Maybe it's because of those same roads. That's why the Guyanese people are acting the way they're acting, some of them. You know, they're getting concussed every day based on what Mr. Rubio would have said. But nevertheless, we'll get to that. But as I was talking about the gangs, and the gangs, it triggers the robberies. Okay? It triggers the robberies. I was looking at a robbery there with 3 young people from Pleasance there the other day. All right. And it was saddening to see, you know, because it just shows you how this government have failed a lot of these young people. Because one of those young men involved in that robbery was once a police officer. Okay? It's funny. Like I said, a lot of these jobs in Guyana, you know, doesn't bring the needed equity for people to be able to support their family. Not giving them a right to go and rob, though, but I'm just saying there is just not enough equity for Guyanese people. That's why society now is forced to deal. Society has to deal with this, you know. The normal basic society, not the big executives of the government. Like I said before, they have their 11 and 12-foot fences and their CCTV cameras and their bodyguards outside of their place with those massive machine guns, right? There is nothing for them to worry about. It's the ordinary citizens who have to deal with the violent Venezuelans. Not all Venezuelans, again, I said the violent ones. And still I see people jumping up and shouting out PPP. What's wrong with you guys, man? I know it's your democratic right, but hey, what's wrong? What has happened to you? Guyana is a very, very rich nation, but all you can show for it, it's not a thriving people. You cannot see a thriving people in Guyana. All you see is rich politicians. The rich in Guyana is politicians and their friends and favorites. And then to some extent, the investors that would have come and dealt and make deals with those politicians get massive acreage of lands and have their castles built there. Now I ask the question. This is for the PPP, the opposition, and everybody. Although the opposition is not sitting there, they're still a part of the government. That's why I am surprised that they're not forcing this government to engage them more. They are not forcing this government to engage them more. And guys, you know, there's something that really got under my skin, man. You know, it bothered me when I heard the Secretary of State. You see, listen, I respect all positions. But you see, when you speak wrong, oh yeah, I'm going to put you in your place. It doesn't matter who you be. When you're wrong, you're wrong. I'm going to call you out. It doesn't matter who you be. Okay? I know that they quote themselves on being, educated and went to this school and went to that school. Well, I'm educated too. I went to this school and I went to that school too. And I have a right to speak too. And that's what I'm going to do here now. When the Secretary of State of the United States of America, okay, is going to come out and say, you know, under this government, the future of the Guyanese people can be very bright in the next 5 to 10 years. Well, I beg to ask the question, what happened with the first 5 years? That's the number one question. And number two, as a foreign official, I don't believe that you should take that position, because if you want to take that position and you want to speak to the matter of the Guyanese people, then you need to engage both the ruling party and the opposition party. That way, and you guys are responsible for letting me know if I'm wrong. That way, your statements will not be biased. And then secondly, I don't know whether he may have received bad intelligence from the U.S. Embassy in Guyana, because that can also be the case. That can also be the case. All right? I have not spoken to the opposition leader in some time, but I would like to know when is the last time that he would have spoken to the U.S. ambassador. You see, Guyana, I said it before, Guyana is a runaway train, and that runaway train is not favoring the everyday citizen in that country. All right? The Guyanese citizens cannot show up at the U.S. border. You understand me? And when they pull them into detention, they turn to the judges and tell them, oh, we are following our wealth. They will not go for that. Therefore, if you're going to interfere with Guyana politics, come all the way in. Don't come in halfway. Don't come in halfway and promote one side. You got to hear both sides of the story. Okay? You got to hear both sides of the story. I believe that would be fair. With regards to the Heroes Highway, you know, again, lack of knowledge of what is happening. Okay? The opposition was not responsible for the Heroes Highway. They were not responsible for the contractors who was contracted to do the highways or anything. The same government who Mr. Rubio was giving kudos to, that same government was responsible for that. That same government was responsible for bulldozing the people at Mokon, the people at Hillfoot, and what they did to the people at LBI and Success area. That same government. Okay? The same government, and I hope that people are listening in, because the same government is responsible for all the extrajudicial killings, the Orrin Bostons, the Shaka Blair, the Quindon Bacchus, the Yahansi Douglas, the Bacchus brothers, Saturday O'Saul, the Henry Boys, Isaiah and Joel, Harish Singh, Donald Allison, Ronald Waddle, Peter Headley, Victor Bourne, Courtney Crum Ewing, Wesley June, Errol Butcher, known as Stops, okay, Donna McKinnon, Lyndon London, Monica Reese, and we can go on and on and on, okay? So you cannot come and take those type of positions under this guy, under the watch of this same guy that everyone is dealing with. They're handing out sanctions right, left, and center. But he's exempt. I beg to ask the question, why and how? Okay? Why and how? And I hope that they're looking in. I hope that they're looking in, because I want them to look in. Fair is fair. Fair is fair. All right? Look, this is a sitting president. He could not protect police officer Dion Bascom. Could not protect police officer Dion Bascom in the paper shorts. I don't know if I call paper shorts. Paper shorts, aka Ricardo Fagundes, was also one of those individuals executed. Okay? A few yards away from State House, where you have security and everybody there. Popular area, crowded area. Sprayed down in a heave of bullets. Okay? No answer. We have CCTV cameras right throughout the entire route. They could not pick up the car. That was strategically planned, inside out. Inside out. Okay? Guyana is not a safe place, man. It's not a safe place to the citizens. Look, Neville Seatal, Civic, good evening. Civic is saying Taliban, terrorists. Well, I just give a whole list of names. Courtney Crum Ewing was out there with his little bullhorn, shouting out for democracy. Shouting out for democracy, not just for himself, but for the Guyanese people. But he was a thorn in their side. Okay? So what they did, they executed him. They executed him in broad daylight. No, we have an attorney general in place. Anil Nandalal, do you have any knowledge of the update on that case? Can you provide us with an update on the Courtney Crum Ewing case? I believe that you should know about that case very well. Can you? Don't worry with Melissa Atwell. Can we deal with Courtney Crum Ewing? Can we? I await an update from you. I await an update from you. And Victor Ben, very, very, very good statement. When we need a list of all those names, when we rally at the square of the revolution, we need justice for these men and women. Absolutely correct, Victor Ben. Well said, correct. We do need justice. Okay? This is not going to just go under a rug like that. These were Guyanese citizens who were executed in their own country. Why? Because most of them, many of them, not all, many of them, was voices of dissent. And the PPP does not like voices of dissent. They have proven it over and over again. But yet again, you guys in Borby shouting out, PPP, PPP. You know why? Because you have forgotten about those families. Okay? For your own selfish needs, you have forgotten about those families. Yeah, go and lay down in your bed and sleep tonight. Think about those families. Think about them. Think about them. When you're doing your chores, you're washing your dishes and you're looking through the window, you think about them. Okay? Think about them. Executed in their own country. All right? So, when we have these big dignitaries coming down to Guyana, they need to have the facts. Okay? They need to have the facts. You guys remember what happened to the vendors out at the bandstand? Look, I'm just bringing up stuff tonight. I'm just in that mood tonight. Okay? You guys remember what happened to the vendors at the bandstand? They were removed. We don't want poor peasants at the bandstand. We are decorating the bandstand and we want to make it presentable to the big dignitaries. We want to attract tourism. Okay? The men and women who work on the oil rigs and stuff need to be able to come and stay at the Marriott and be able to walk in peace and not see poor people or stalls that does not look well put together. You repair them and then you rent it out to the people who could afford it. Your friends, family, and favorites who has money, right? And you send those people, packing. Some of them took out loans to put up those structures that they had there. They took out loans, okay? Many of them are still in debt. You as a government didn't tell them, hey, are you in debt in any way or form? We are going to pay it off. You never offer them that. Look, man, PPPC, let me say this to you guys. You guys are classless. You guys are classless. You have no smarts whatsoever. You have no smarts. I would love to take all of you to school. You have no smarts. Okay? You guys think you have the abilities to deal with people. No, you deal with clowns. That's what you guys do. That's what you guys do. You guys don't have the ability to deal with the real people in Guyana. You just don't. Okay? You treat people like they're garbage with no dignity or respect. Okay? But yet, when the Secretary of State walk into Guyana, you guys act like if you're so nice, like if you're such a genuine government. You guys are butchers. That's what you guys is. You heard the false name that they have, the name that they have for Barajagdio, the butcher from Unity. That is exactly what he is. That is exactly what he is. Okay? Lemon would have put up the photo just now depicting that man with that big machine gun. Well, I think that's Mark Kozerki, if I am not wrong. Yes. Yes, this was a confidant of Barajagdio. Okay? The same man that comes and hosts the comedy clown show on Thursday. This is one of his guys. Gunned down and murdered so many. Okay? Gunned down, murdered. They chopped them up. Look, I'm going to get graphic tonight. When people were busy burying their families back in the 90s and early 2000s and even, even further up, when you have your family inside that coffin, it wasn't just the remains of your family that was in that coffin. Underneath there had other people's remains that was caught up in all kind of nonsense. Okay? This government is butchery. That's what they are. They could never engage the opposition because of their wrongdoings. And they know that they're going to continue to do wrong to the Guyanese people. They know that. So why have an opposition sitting with you? They are not going to agree with wrong in the Guyanese people. So therefore, they don't have a place. I know that the judiciary in Guyana cannot do anything. Okay, unless something is brought to them. But I know that everybody can see that this is heading down the road of a one-party state. Barajagdio said, he said it, that a coalition would have a difficult time coming together. The PPP has the resources. Okay? You don't know who is being paid and who is not being paid. But all of you who are taking pay, you understand me? To cripple the opposition, shame on you. You're a disgrace. You have failed the people. You're disgraceful. You will never see your way. Never. Because you chose to hold a portfolio, okay, that requires you, okay, requires you to be loyal to your party and more so loyal to the Guyanese people. Every time I hear negotiations and, people are negotiating and talking, they talk. But you don't hear them talking about the Guyanese people. And when I hear that, it upsets me because everything should start and end with the people. Everything. It's all about the people. They have put you there, okay, to do the biddings and to work and to represent them nationally and internationally on the world stage. They didn't put you there to rob them and to fill your pockets. Look at our teachers. By the way, massive congratulations to the Honorable Coretta McDonald. She should win that election for president of the GTU, not just win it. That is supposed to be a landslide. There must be no challenge there. It should be a mandatory landslide. Mark Light needs to go and take a seat. Mark Light needs to go and take a seat. Look, the game plan, Guyanese, all of you here. And I saw Ian Bino. Ian, I'm going to see if I could get back to your question because I know you got something there for me. I'll see if I could get to your question or repost it so I could, see it again. Maybe I could address it. Look, the game plan, ladies and gentlemen, going forward. All right? We have to stay on task. This cannot be about friendships. It has to be about execution. All right? You got a job to do. You got to do it. You have to do it. The country is not going to move forward if we have a set of people just sitting there and receiving their salary. How are we going to move forward? How are we going to move forward? Look, guys, we have to change our culture in Guyana. We have become very, very stagnant. Good example, ladies and gentlemen. We knew, all of us here, we knew what happened at the 2020 regional and general elections. GCOM knew what happened. Look, 5 years later, nothing has been done. These are the things that I talk about. Look, we have big time attorneys sitting on the side of the opposition. Nobody did nothing. We just had the petitions for. No. Let that have been Jack Dio. You would have seen story. And that's what I'm talking about. You got to want it. And you got to want it for the right reasons. Jack Dio wants it. But he wants it for all the wrong reasons. To continue to oppress, suppress, and have the Guyanese people living in poverty. Jack Dio does not have a vision for prosperity for the people of Guyana. He has never come out on Thursdays and say that, hey, I got a vision for the people of Guyana. He has never come out when we closing in on Christmas to say, hey, I am going to be donating $10 million in toys or whatever to children. That's a cold-hearted, selfish individual. He has gained all his wealth from the people of Guyana. Yet he would never go into his pocket, okay, to give back. Shameful. I was browsing around Facebook this week. Oh yeah. And after the whole Babu John thing, I have noticed that the PPPC supporters have really picked up with their vile behaviors. The behaviors and what they have to say is horrible. You would not believe that these are citizens who are sharing hospitals, hospital beds together, sharing school buildings, teaching, working together, doing these things, traveling in the same minibus and all these type of things together. The way these guys behave on social media. People are cursing people. People are threatening people. Oh, you're going to see what I'm going to do to you and all these kind of things. It shows you, ladies and gentlemen. It just shows you what the PPP is all about. And it also shows you that we are getting very, very, very close to them calling elections. When you see the behavior start to pick up like this, and all the propaganda machinery start to come out, right? When Jack Dio roll out his red carpet of propaganda, okay, they are ready to go, right? The propaganda that comes out of the office of the Prime Minister, right? The Ministry of Information and all these areas. When you reach out to the Ministry of Information for any information, you don't get back nothing. You don't get back nothing. Whenever there's a new oil find in Guyana, the Guyanese people are never informed until long after. They're not included in bidding for everything. Or they allow you to bid on some things. Or they put the big contracts out there, knowing that the small contractors who is more so the Amerindian and the Afro-Guyanese contractors cannot bid on those big jobs because they don't have the necessary machinery to deal with those big jobs. They fully well know that. They know who the jobs are already going to go to. Wonder London, good statement. Yeah, we have top-notch lawyers in the opposition. If you feel that they should have done better to represent the opposition, I cannot disagree with that because I believe that better should have been done. You have the Honorable Mr. Roysdale Ford there. I know Roysdale has been dealing with a lot of family stuff, so I have to kind of give him a little, pass on that. But we have other lawyers. Darren Wade has been busy, but you could never be too busy. Okay? You could never be too busy. Francine Cruz, I see your comment. Yeah, we need attitude changes across the board. Right? We need attitude changes across the board. People need to start pivoting and need to start changing their attitudes. We need to put aside our egos and we need to work for betterment for Guyana and its people. All right? All my social media presenters, brothers and sisters, we all need to be on that one accord. This is coming down now. The rubber is really starting to hit the road. All right? This is not the time for us to be pulling down our leaders. But at the same time, the leaders have a responsibility to the people. The leaders have a responsibility to the people. There's a reason why you're called a leader. Okay? There is a reason why you're called a leader. And to be honest with you, the MPs, they all have a responsibility to the people. Look, I host this program here. This is a program for the people, by the people. But nevertheless, I have a responsibility to be here on Saturdays. Okay? Because we all know that we have work to do on Saturdays, right? We know this. That's why you're here. That's why I am here. Because we have work to do. This is the way it needs to be across the board. Andrea Boston, still talking about a consensus candidate. All right, I gonna lay down this thing now with this consensus candidate thing. Look, I'm gonna say this. All right, consensus candidate, it has to be fully agreed upon by all the leaders. Here, what's my thing with consensus candidate? And you guys, please, I like when you guys in the comments let me know when I'm wrong or let me know when you guys disagree with me. It's fine. This is a program. This is a democratic program. I do not believe in a man making a bed for another man to come and lay on it. Okay? Or men making a bed for another man to just come and lay down on it. All right? I believe that you guys can read through the lines of what I'm saying. If you're going to have a consensus leader, that consensus leader need to be back and front on the ground right now, campaigning, you understand me? And doing the party's work or the coalition's work. All right? You just can't come in and want to sit down in the chair at the head of the table, ladies and gentlemen. You can't. Right? Andrea Boston agrees with me. Thank you, Andrea. And anyone of you guys, if you disagree with me, let me know. You cannot just come, Palm Halls, thank you. You just cannot come and sit down. Okay? I don't agree with that part. Again, these talks are going on right now. We're supposed to have a decision on Monday. That consensus leader is not involved in these talks. When you have a consensus leader, now you got to get everybody to be familiar with that person. It's a lot of work, and these people can call this election just now. Another thing I want to say about the consensus candidate, I just want to break it down. I just want to ask a few questions. I just want to ask a few questions. You have a consensus candidate. What is that candidate going to do that the current three leaders are unable to do? You have to also tell me that. Tell me and tell that to the people, because having a consensus candidate is not just about bringing a consensus candidate, it's about getting the people. It's about getting the people to rally behind that consensus candidate. Right? You got to get the people. This is about the people. I'm just making my point based on my analysis. I had to study these things. All right, so we got to see what's going to happen there. The leaders are responsible for making the decision. When they come out with a decision, we will wait to see what that decision is. All right, but I must say this. Guyana need good, solid, robust, sustainable leadership. It's about time. We need leaders that have guts and have the appetite to serve Guyana and its people. We need leaders that have that innate passion to serve the people of Guyana. That is what we need. All of them, not just some, all of them. So people don't come and bring nonsense and show me nonsense. Oh, our VP, our this, our that. That man have no interest in all of Guyana. He knows his agenda. Irfan Ali knows his agenda. When it came to protecting the Ambascom, Irfan Ali, you showed me your true colors. You stood there and you did absolutely nothing. Deep down inside your mind, you say, hey, if they want to execute him, let them execute him. But the people came to the forefront. He had representation. Right? Guyana is now open up. Social media is back in front of Guyana right now. So the things that you did, that you guys did, when Guyana was close, and look, man, I know Mark Benchcap don't like when I give him props sometimes, and Lincoln Lewis and these guys. But these guys were fighting when Guyana was locked down. And that is dangerous. That was very dangerous. Many right-thinking people would be like, what the heck are these guys doing? It was dangerous. That's why when they got locked up, Freddie used to be crying because it's dangerous. I wanna go back around again to this thing with our young people. Because, brothers and sisters, let's remember this. The young people are the future of Guyana. Come, guys, come, y'all roll back with me. Let's roll back. Let's roll back into the 80s. Let's roll back into the early 90s. Let's roll back a little bit. You guys remember when we used to have mass games, right? The mass games activity. We used to turn the book and you used to do all these things, right? You turn the book, you see Burnham face, you see this person face, you see the book's turned into all kind of different things. Right? Another thing, you guys remember school sports, right? Now, PPP, I'm going to ask you a question. What happened to school sports? School sports used to be one of the most attractive things. Y'all guys could remember. I know many of you could remember. School sports used to be one of the most attractive things. It used to be something that excited young people, right? And some of the better athletes, okay, weren't always the smartest student in the class. But what? They worked hard with their academics because they knew that they were athletes and they had to perform. What happened to our school sports? They're talking about taking out into schools and all this. No, we need to have our normal inter-house, our normal inter-school, our inter-branch, and then the national championships. That's where we're able to identify future athletes. I heard the Honorable Nima Flew Best. She was talking about school sports and how they're going after trying to remove school sports. Guyanese, you cannot have that. Then what are you doing with your children? What do you want them to do? Sit down and look at a tablet and look at their cell phone all day long? You're going to have a lot of adult Guyanese with heart problem and diabetes and all these different things. A whole lot of diabetics, all kind of things running around because the children are lacking activity. They're just sitting down at home on a computer, looking at their tablet, on the phone, 24/7. Every other village need to have a library. You guys want to use the diaspora? Use the diaspora for that purpose. We'll provide the books. We'll provide the books. We'll provide the tablets to the libraries. Government should be doing it, but we are going to do it. Look, you guys, I'm going to call a village out in particular. Victoria. And I'm not hitting that gentleman that does go around and meet the people and all that. I'm not hitting the gentleman. But that gentleman come and everybody flock together. Everybody flock around him. I'm going to ask you the question, guys. Are you guys not capable of doing things on your own, coming together? Remember, Victoria was the first village that was purchased by our ancestors. You guys remember how they were able to purchase that village? They came together as a quorum. They saved, they put their monies together, and they were able to purchase the village. That there was an example. That there was a lesson for us today to learn from. Now I ask the question, did we learn from that? Did we learn from that? Brothers and sisters, we have moved away from our values. We have moved away from our values, and hence Guyana has become a filthy country. I was watching a program where a young man was depicting, whether it was true or not, all the vile things that would have happened to him. And I know it didn't just happen to him, it happened to other young Guyanese men. A lot of people don't want to come out and speak on these things. But there's a lot of nastiness that is happening in Guyana. And what the government does, they turn a blind eye to it. Because they're involved. They're involved. Our young women are not allowed to be innocent and to be able to grow in to the stature of a legitimate young woman. Why? Because some of them come from a poor family. And what does the rich in Guyana do? When a girl is from a poor family and she's good looking, they prey on her. They prey on her. a lot of people have reached out to me and asked me, at some point to come home and address the young people in Guyana. And I think I have to put that on my agenda because it doesn't look as if many are really interested in addressing them. Don't worry about all those young people that show up for those PPP functions. That's political agenda. That's not real true love. We talking about real true love. We talking about wanting to, empower these young people to see them become, successful. That's what we're talking about. Nobody's willing to bail the cat. Okay? Look, a lot of people always call out the leader of the opposition or the other two leaders. Hey, hold up. These guys are the leaders. Indeed, they are. 3 men can't do everything. That's why they got member of parliament. That's why they have support groups. All right? A building is only as strong as its foundation. Where is the foundation? Where is the foundation? All we're talking about is the buildings. We need to address the foundation. Everybody always say a team is as good as its captain. No, it's not as good as the captain. The captain could be how good he wants to be. If the role players around him is not listening to him and playing their role, the team will lose every night out. Every single night out, they will lose. Correct, Civic. Education standards are very, very poor in our country. Very, very poor. All right? You got people robbing others right and left. You want to ask where is the 50,000 jobs that was promised? It might be 50,000 part-time jobs. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get a guest coming in shortly. I don't know if we're gonna have a commercial before the guest comes in. I don't know. Lemon may take us to a commercial break, but if not,
yeah, my name is Jasnity Kaldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by 1 vote, they're losing it by data.
Good evening, Mr. Benchcop. Welcome to Over to You.
Hi, good evening. I'm not in my usual setting, but I got your message and I thought that I just hop on to hear what is it that you want to talk about. But I listened to the last couple of minutes of your program, and good night and welcome.
Thank you so much, Mark. I there's a few little things I want to touch on with you quickly, but I think I will start off with a little more into the Melissa Atwell matter, if you don't mind.
Yeah, there are lots of things, but the good thing is that she's out. She's out. Well, on the way out, I should say. Sorry, and she's out of danger zone, so to speak, in my opinion. The judge made it clear that there's nothing, absolutely nothing, stopping her from getting her documents. Nothing there at all. In my opinion, that decision should have been made on that day itself. But it is what it is now, right?
Yeah.
And so I noticed some of the PPP PACUs, the usual thing. There's no reason to pay them any attention on what is happening. You know, you would expect these sort of things from the PPP PACUs. People shouldn't. If you can just do me a favor, I know it's your show. Can you block Deborah Sharona Lynch, please? Like with immediate effect. Yeah, block her.
Mr. Benchcap, I'm sorry to say that's impossible. She's one of the shareholders.
Block her. Block her.
She's one of the top shareholders.
Yeah, it's because she's already being mischievous. Don't take over your show, which is true. She has a point in that. Good night to all of them.
What?
And
Mark,
yeah,
Mark, but I have this question for you because with Melissa being on our way home to our family and friends, I beg to ask you this question. Where does that leave the installed PPP?
you know, a lot of times people waste their energies, in my opinion, on these non-entities, so to speak, these PPP trolls, these silly people. And when you burn your energy up on those sort of people, it diverts attention from the real picture, the real things. And, you know, this Melissa Atwell situation is a perfect example that they're trying to divert attention. They're trying to change the goalpost. And if you bother with those Nimakarans, those Katahars, it will just get you nowhere. We have to focus on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture actually is what has already happened. The judge has made it clear that he doesn't know why Melissa Atwell was there. But the impression that those PACUs in the PPP wanted to give is that, oh, she was there for this. They tried to give that impression that she was there for 19 fraud charges. And 19 fraud charges is air fun, right? And all these things. And the young lady was there just for a minor infraction that can be remedied and is in the process of being remedied. She has an approved I-130, and the judge asked, why is she here? She has an approved I-130. She's married to a U.S. citizen. The judge asked again, why is she here? The State Department legal rep says, nobody knows, but she's there. And what should have happened, the lawyer should have probably just jump up and argue, get the energy to argue for his client to be released with immediate effect. Let his client, let the case be dismissed. Let her be placed on her own recognizance because she has been there for over 2 weeks punishing. She hasn't committed a crime. Even that little infraction, as they claim, overstayed, yes, it's a violation, but it has been remedied by the fact that she's married to a U.S. citizen and he has petitioned for her. The marriage has not been deemed questionable. It's a bona fide marriage. And so there's no reason for her to be there. And so Melissa Atwell should not have been have to go through the process. One of the things the lawyer should have argued is for her client should have been placed on self-bail. Just go. There's nothing. The judge was leaning towards that. The State Department official didn't mind. She said it's up to the court to make that decision. And the lawyer should have gotten up, right? Wait a minute, Your Honor. My client has suffered enough. Has not committed any crime. It has been remedied. There's an approved I-130. There is a pending I-485. And usually when folks go before the judges, immigration judges, the first question they ask is, or they would want to know, Of course, the NTA, which is a notice of appearance. What's the nature of the crime? Okay, overstayed a visa. Uh, what's going on? You overstayed your visa, and then okay, but what is there to protect you? And what is there to protect? What is there to protect Melissa Atwell is she's married to a U.S. citizen, and what is most important is that she has a petition or two petitions in the system.
Yes.
I-130, which is the first leg, and that has been approved. An I-485, which is the adjustment of status for a green card, it is in the process of being approved. She attended, along with her husband, an interview process, and they have been waiting for over 1.5 years now. The lawyer should have been able to argue on those strengths and ask the court to make a decision, have the judge use his discretion, since the client has been punished enough already for 2 weeks, approve the I-485 right there and then, because as an immigration judge, he could have done that. And to argue for self-bail, she shouldn't have to pay $7,500 bail. Let it go. Let her go. She has not committed any crime. Forget about those Pacus who are out there. Forget about them. They do not understand immigration law. They don't know what they're talking about. But because of their hatred for Melissa Atwell, that is why they're just going after her, going after her, going after her. And most of them, or all of them, aren't making sense. There's no sense. Yvette Clarke, the congresswoman, came right out in an interview conducted on 107.1 FM in full support of Melissa Atwell. Lots of people have been, I'm sure, in touch with the congresswoman. Lots of folks have been writing, they've been calling. And so this is a collective effort. And no one man or no one woman should grab any glory over this. This is a collective effort. And I say kudos to everyone who got involved. Every single one who played a role in ensuring that we confront the corrupt PPP regime and ensure that we are there to stand up and protect Melissa Atwell. Whether we agree with everything she does or she says, it's irrelevant. It's an injustice. And because of this injustice, we have to stand up and fight for her. And that is what people did collectively. A lot of folks who are watching your program right now, they have done that by battling the PPP thugs on social media. They have done that. They continue to do that. And so there are others who played roles, whether minor, whether medium, whether large, behind the scene. And all of those individuals have to be given credit. It is not a one-man nonsense. It's not a one-woman nonsense. It's a collective something. And if we can use that same energy in other instances, we will be able to defeat the PPP because we are stronger together. We're not stronger as one man trying to always, jump on the mountaintop, or one woman just trying to jump on the mountaintop and claim glory. No, you're not going to get unity like that. Not at all. So
I'll give you,
including. Sorry, they say I'm here to take over your show. Sorry.
Yes.
I was going to say.
I'll give you a little time to think, because I am going to ask you what instance can us being together. I'm going to ask you a question on that, because you're going to give me an answer as to where you think we should challenge this channel, by the way, this momentum. But Mr. Benchcap, with that being said, I believe that the PPP may have shot themselves in the foot. And I will ask you this question, okay? Can Melly Mel bring a case against the government of Guyana?
Well, that's a good question. Anybody can bring a case against Guyana, as long as there is sufficient evidence. The case right now that Melly Mel has is that they want to persecute her. They have been persecuting her. And she's not safe in Guyana. It is a fact. Jack Dale goes after her, calls her all manner of names, maybe because of her ethnicity. I'm just saying that, maybe because of that. Anil Nandalal gone after her, back and forth between the two. Irfan Ali has gone after her. The Looney Tunes within the PPP have gone after her. Of course, she fights them back too, you know. But at the end of the day, when you have a so-called government that is after you, it is persecution. You can't have a fair trial in Guyana. There's nothing fair that you can have under a corrupt regime, and the PPP regime is corrupt. And that is why I'm glad that she is out and or in the process of being out, and yeah.
Well said. Well said, Mr.
Can,
Benchop.
can you block Chisel Chipepper 68? They say I took over your show. Block them right now, please.
Wait, guys, just be patient. I got a question mark here. He's up for questioning here this evening. And Mark, that's some very, very good points that you have made there. But I want you again, I told you I would come back to you. Okay, what instance you believe that we can use this momentum to channel it to, from an overall perspective, gain some momentum as an opposition, or as a whole?
Well, the opposition, those who are in the opposition tent, so to speak, in their strategic, quote unquote, if there is such a strategic room, they have to know what they need to do from here. But what I like is the collective approach. Again, and I say there are lots of folks who were in touch with the Congresswoman, Yvette Clarke. There are lots of folks who were in touch with other individuals. Nothing to be broadcast and nothing to run away with, and one person claiming glory over anything. But what I've observed, though, behind the scene, there has been this unity in this approach, and this love and this respect. And I think once you have unity, the enemy will be defeated. But when you have, and this is the mistake that we have been subjected to in the past, where one individual always want to run away with glory, whether he or she or whatever. And you cannot have success, you cannot have victory under those circumstances. And with the Melly Mel situation, I have seen a different scenario where a unified bunch was able to approach from different angles. And everyone played a role, including those who are commenting on your program right now, including those who have commented on other programs. Everybody played a role. All of the other media personalities, whether on social media, the likes of David Hines, Shara Duncan, Kadaki, and others played a role in this. They had guys like Hector Stout in his own way, his own style, guys like Conan Marshall, guys like the Nigel London, Apostle Nigel London, and all of these people. Everyone played a role, every single one. And as a result of that unity, I am feeling even more optimistic that once it continues, then the PPP will be in serious trouble. Again, this is not a one-man show. No one man is responsible for anything. And y'all don't be fooled. One man is not responsible for this. Unity. And we give thanks to those. A lot of politicians were politicians over in America. They were informed by members of Miss Atwell's family, friends, and supporters. Lots of people were informed. And so this time around, the PPP got caught. They thought that they had the upper hand in this, but it never happened. And right now they are embarrassed. They are so embarrassed that they are making mockery of themselves.
Well, Mark, and it's funny that you say that. It's very, very good points indeed, because I was keeping up on Facebook, man, and the PPP
I noticed somebody's asked him whether she was granted citizenship. Oh, man. Frank Rice, weren't you it's all over the. Oh man, Frank Rice. Sometimes, oh, read him, man, and you'll get to understand. I'm sure you watched the case, but what sort of question was she granted U.S. citizenship? Is that a mischievous question, or is that I don't know. Sorry, Mr. Caesar. Sometimes I'm a little bit impatient with some of these guys, but go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm looking at Neville Seatal here, our good friend Civic. He said you left me out, boy, Mark. So Neville wants special recognition, Mark. Okay, Neville.
Yeah, Neville. Yeah.
Yeah, you've played a massive role, Neville. You have played a massive role.
But like I said, everybody.
Yes. So it's all the viewers here, man. Look, there's no program without you guys. Okay, you guys give us the strength to host and hold these programs. Okay, there's nothing without you guys. Yeah, but Mark, continuing, don't you believe that what has been happening at the Square of the Revolution should channel in to GCOM with Rhonda Lane? Don't you believe that? I believe that, you know, there should be more of a robust presence in front of GCOM, especially in a few weeks heading into acting Chief Justice Roxanne George's decision. You know, you don't want to sit back, because when you sit back, you know, people take you for granted. You know, your take. Mark, you hearing me? You don't have a take? All right, I'm gonna give you a pass on that. All right. Okay, so Mark,
you're asking me for a take that I've had over 1 year ago, that the priority should be a clean voters list, and the thousands of people should have been in front of GCOM. And now we're talking about biometrics. Thousands of people should have been in front of GCOM. That's a priority. And this shouldn't have to be because of a Melly Mel situation and folks went in at Square of the Revolution, that they should use this now to go there. This should have been the case over 1 year ago. It shouldn't have to be now. Rhonda Lane, kudos to her, shouldn't have to be begging for people to go there. That should be the number one priority of the opposition. And so, I don't know. So that's why I didn't really want to answer that particular question, because, you know.
You've answered it many times. Well said. Look, and Guyanese have to understand it. It's your democratic right. You do not want to allow people to take that right away. You know, you don't want people to take away your civil liberties as Guyanese, you know, freedom of speech and these type of things. You guys see the way the PPPC has been posturing. Again, trust me, you guys do not want to live in a state where there is one party rule state. Okay? And Mr. Benchcroft, you know, I'm kind of, I have to ask you this question. What's your take on the Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Defense Force? Because these guys, you know, has been used a whole lot by this installed regime. But in the lead up to the 2020 election, you can quote the General Secretary of the PPPC, and I quote, would have said that the soldiers and the police is going to be raping your daughters and your wives. Now, what's your take? Because Venezuela is encroaching on Guyana. The Guyana Defense Force has now become, you know, quote unquote, as Irfan Ali saying, a major priority. And the Guyana Police Force has been doing the biddings of the PPP. They're hardly solving any cases. They're beating up Guyanese, the citizens, and them is getting into it. I'm not saying all police officers, but we're seeing a lot of incidents between the normal citizens and the police officers. You know, do you have a take on that? It's concerning.
And I guess your question is, you know, nobody's surprised at what Jack Dave does. Nobody's surprised at what Irfan Ali does. And they always try to use some members of the Guyana Police Force. They've been doing that for many years. And so we shouldn't be surprised at that at all. But what we got to do is we have to wake up, we have to become more conscious, and we have to do whatever is legally and constitutionally necessary to ensure that we see the backs of the corrupt PPPC. It's up to the opposition now to make that decision as to what they really want. They have an elections to win. It's a big giveaway right now, and they shouldn't allow it to slip away. It should move from the Facebook activism, because for the most part, that is what was able to chip and break the backbone of the PPP regime as a result of Facebook activism. The position has to be shifted now into the hands of the leadership of the opposition, and they have to make a decision collectively as to how they're going to approach the elections, because it's right there for them to win. They cannot lose it unless they are silly enough and they continue to be, just doing their own thing in separate ways and not united. It's in their hands. And if they lose the elections, they have no one but themselves to blame. They have to decide on whether they're going to be collective approach in the elections, a unified approach. They have to start making those decisions now. They have to decide on who they want to be the presidential candidate. They should have done that a while now. And elections can be called at any moment. And what are they going to be caught with their pants down? They got to decide whether they are going to go with the leader of the opposition, whether he stands a chance to get crossover votes, whether he can take them to the finish line. These are things that they should sit down and keep away from the public domain. They should sit down and make that decision whether they want a real coalition. And around that table, they can bring up the question as to who should lead the coalition, who should be the presidential candidate. But instead, every day we're seeing this person is saying this other person is saying that. And it does not help their constituency. It does not help the 218 people that voted for the opposition or voted for the APNU AFC in 2020. It doesn't help at all. But at the end of the day, they're not doing a good service to their own constituency if they continue to bicker as to who is going to be the presidential candidate. One man said is he, the other man calling for a consensus, the other one saying he, the other one saying she, the other. It's not helpful at all.
Yeah, very, very, very confusing. And I could see where Guyanese are gonna, get frustrated. That's why, you see sometimes other people try to walk in the village and they're actually getting the attention. But I remember after the PNCR biannual Congress and the AFC Congress, we started calling right away for them to start talking, because we know that these talks are going to take some time. I believe that the decision should have been made since the end of last year. We should have just been in, campaign mode, getting ready for elections for this entire year. That's what it should have been about, grounding, edifying and empowering the voters on the ground, the young people on the ground, because the young people are the future. You need to have them voting, with a coalition. They need young people. So that's what I believe should have been happening. And now at the last minute, the 24th hour now, this thing has been pushed out. Certain people are more responsible for pushing it out than others. I'm not going to get into the name calling though, but it's kind of shameful, and it needs to be resolved quickly, and we need to start campaigning and getting ready for this election. Mark, is there anything else that you would like to add? Any question that I didn't ask you that you would like, or topic that you would like for us to discuss?
Yes. So the opposition, they have to, like I've said, they have to make that from the leadership standpoint. The energy isn't there. You're not feeling that vibe. You're not feeling that energy. Too many egos, a lot of egos in the way. Everybody wants to be on the top position, and people are fighting for position. Who has to be this? Who got to be that? And I think that doesn't do their constituency much. The focus should be to fight to win the elections, to get back their support base. They have a strong support base. They have lost a few who are basically just flatfoot hustlers. The few like a Bond and those guys, they're flatfoot hustlers. They never had a constituency. Their strength was basically the PNC. And so those vagabonds walk away because of opportunistic reasons, just a few. And so they need to get back that 218,000. They haven't lost the 218,000. They just needed to find a way to keep it together. They weren't able to keep it together as they should have for a variety of reasons, mind you. And so they got to focus on bringing those folks back. They got to focus on bringing those disgruntled PPP folks at the point of wanting to vote for a strong coalition with a strong presidential candidate, or the PPP supporters who are disgruntled with the PPP just stay home. This elections is there to be won. The PPP has already lost the elections. They know that, but the opposition got to be careful as to how they play the card. The energy isn't there at this point in time, especially in an elections year. They have to decide now on how they get that energy, whether it's young people's energy, whether it's middle-aged like yourself, or whether it's old people like me and others who are watching this, like Eon Harry and Hazel Johnson and Neville, because we are up there right now in age. And the energy is just not there. I'll be honest with you. The political energy on the ground is not there. They got to turn that switch on to ignite the support base. And once that switch is turned on, I don't know, the people need to see an attractive package. They're not seeing that attractive package at this point in time. And so they're not as energized as they should be. Majority of the people are saying, yes, to hell with the PPP. The PPP has got to go. But they just need that little spark. And they're not getting that spark as yet. That's what I need to speak on that. The other thing, too, before you wrap up your show, is this particular photograph that is circulating on social media. It is a violation of the court's order. The judge made a ruling that no press and whatever that happens in his courtroom should not be broadcast. Lo and behold, you got the PPP vagabonds just started to broadcast stuff out of the judge's courtroom. They should be penalized for this, and I suspect that at some point in time they will be penalized. These women, all of them, of course, the PPP vagabonds were out targeting Melissa Atwell, and they don't care who else. They don't know these women who are subjected to removal out of the US because of some immigration violation. And all of them are there, and they have filed asylum. Most of them are from Vietnam. But when you have these young ladies, you have their photographs plastered all over social media because of some wickedness on the part of the PPP regime. Wickedness. If you check some of their propaganda media houses on social media, all of these women's faces are all over the place. It is a crime. The judge ruled that it should not happen, and all of them are in violation. All of them should be charged with contempt. All of them, including that Bordness guy. All of them. And this is very troubling. They believe that the US is the Wild West as how they operate in Guyana. But I am certain that the judge is not going to take lightly what has happened and what they have done to these women. Shame and disgrace to them. The matter doesn't end right here.
Well said. Well, very well said, Mark. And I totally agree with you on that. It puts all those young women at risk. Yes, all of them is at risk. And, I believe that, probably none of them is going to be sent back home because their pictures are all over the place. So I'll wait to see what happens there. But I'm looking at a comment here from Flash, and Flash is saying, why don't all of us go ahead and rally around Comrade Norton, because Comrade Hughes has indicated that he is not interested in being the presidential candidate. Flash, I would answer that question in saying that let's wait until the decision is made. We are expecting a decision on the 31st, which is Monday. Let's wait until the decision is made, and whosoever is deemed the presidential candidate, then everybody's expected to rally behind that person. But until then, I believe that we should just hold on and wait. We don't want to preempt and get in front, put in the carriage before the horse. Mr. Benchcop, thank you so much. Is there anything that you would like to say to the audience regarding immigration? Because you see the only small little infraction they had on Melissa is and this is nothing. She's married to an American citizen. We know that everybody should be aware of that. But there's other people who are not married to an American citizen, could just be here on vacation and stuff like that. Do you have any warning for them, staying 2 days over and these kind of things, the penalties that they can endure, as far as their visa go and these type of things? Can you elaborate quick for us?
Yeah. And thank you. But before I do, the opposition got to get their act together. People have their candidate of choice, and that is a democratic right of them. All of us can have the same candidate. All of us can love and have the same candidate. Otherwise, it's not a democracy. We cannot be fighting to get rid of a dictatorship. And we ourselves, some of you guys who want to practice dictatorship, beat people into subjection. It's not going to happen. And you can't do that to me. It's not going to happen either, right? And so I respect people's choice at this point in time. Whoever they feel that is the right person for the presidential candidate, fair enough. Everybody's going to jump at this point in time. They have a candidate of their choice. But as Wayne Caesar said, once they get to the table and a decision is made, once they make a decision as to who that presidential candidate would be, regardless of who the person is. But I do hope it's somebody with energy. I do hope that it's somebody that can bring crossover votes. And I do hope that it's somebody that can take us to the finish line. That is all. And so it's a democratic right for people to like whomever they want to like. It's a democratic right for them to have a choice. And you can't practice dictatorship and then claim in the next breath that you're fighting against a dictator. It doesn't add up. We've got to be consistent across the board. As it pertains to your question, Mr. Caesar, on immigration, I hope folks can understand that if you have a visitor's visa, it is there for the purpose of visiting. You can't visit for 6 months and go back and then come back 1 month after and visit for another 4 or 5 months. It's just not going to happen like that. So, folks, if you have a visitor's visa, respect, just spend a month, spend a couple of weeks and back to your country and enjoy your stay. Do not abuse that privilege. Even if it is abused and you have a plan B, which is if you have a bona fide marriage, you're married to a U.S. citizen, or you have a child who is over the age of 21 and is a U.S. citizen, then it's fair enough. You can do that, and your overstay time will be forgiven. Just like Melissa Atwell, her overstay was forgiven the minute she married that U.S. citizen and he petitioned for her. It's forgiven. And that is why the judge asked, what is happening? Say, for example, if somebody that's watching this show and they are married to, that person is married, to a U.S. citizen. They have a petition, they have an approved I-130, and they have a pending I-485, which is an adjustment of status. You're in good standing. As long as you have those things and you appear in front of a judge, God forbid, I'm not saying anybody should, or how ICE operating, they'll just round up, hey. But if you are taken before a judge, that's the first thing the judge wants to hear. Do you have a pending I-130? Yes. Not only pending, it's approved. That's a good reason for your infraction to be forgiven. Many of you who watched the Melly Mel court hearing, you heard the judge. The judge kept asking, do you have a petition in the system? Yes. I don't know why the lawyer didn't furnish the judge with all of that. It should have been days and let the judge know there's an approved I-130, there's a pending I-485, and you're in good standing. When you're picked up, or if someone is picked up, you got to be given with an NTA. Once you get an NTA, guess what? It's a notice of appearance. Whatever that small infraction is, you can win, and you will win your case. You will win your case as long as you follow the laws. Now, if you commit a crime and all sorts of different things, a criminal act, well, that's a different story. It's a different story. And
but Mr. Ben,
sorry,
but Mr. Ben, it's not automatic that you're going to always win. I think the percentages is high. It also depends on who you have representing you. That person have to come in there with the knowledge and the know-how as to how to represent you, how to deal with, the judges or whomever you may have to face also. Isn't that
yeah. And they do have quite a few lawyers who are not knowledgeable about immigration law, and that's where they stumble. They stumble as a result of that. I noticed Flash Gordon, and I want you guys to know that this is the first time in over 40-something years Flash Gordon and I are going to agree on something. Good night to Flash. Flash Gordon says, we have to be careful when we go on vacation and we end up married. It will be red mark that what she should have done is to go back home and return back and then get, not necessarily, Flash, not necessarily. So that's not true. That's not what immigration law says. However, if you have a visitor's visa and you come to America and you get married right away, well, maybe that could be considered a red flag. But I've had clients who got married 1 month, 2 weeks after they came here, and they have all of their documents. Their marriage has been proven to be bona fide. They've been issued with their green card. So not entirely true, because it doesn't make sense. You come and then go back and then come back and get married. Oh, man, Flash Garden, don't do that to me today. Don't do that. And so,
yeah, and Melly Mel wasn't in that type of position that she could have done that because she was being hunted by the PPPC. So
yeah. And so we have everybody who says she should have this, she should have that. Why file asylum when she's married to when she has a bona fide marriage? That is what immigration look for. Say, for example, if Francine Cruz thieves somebody's husband, and I didn't mean it in that sense, but because Francine Cruz is always teasing people, gets married, one of the first things that they would do is to check to see if it's a bona fide marriage. They don't want to see fake marriage. That is why, for the most part, they have interviews so that they can interview them husband and wife. And let me say this to some of you. They are going to ask personal questions, personal bedroom questions. I have a client who called me right after he and his wife walked out of the interview. And they said, Mark, I never knew they asked personal questions. Imagine these are people in their 50s, old people, right, in their 50s. Came out of the interview and they were shocked that the immigration officer asked them, when they first started dating, what was the first time they made love? They ask these things. They ask, what color is your bedroom wall? What sort of bed sheets you have? If the wife has a tattoo here or there, and a female officer knows, they're going to ask the husband. So they do ask a lot of personal questions. And I noticed Flash Garden again. Flash obviously doesn't understand immigration law, and that is what we're trying to think. This is not like a guessing game, Flash. Flash said, Mr. Mark, be careful. Remember, she was granted bail of $7,500. That is serious now. You see, again, Flash Garden, I don't know whether there's something. You keep changing the goalposts with Melissa Atwell, regardless of how we feel about her. And there are times when I don't agree with things or her approach in things. There are times I agree, yes, but this is beyond whether I agree with her or I disagree with her. This is an injustice. And not because someone granted bail makes it an issue, makes it serious. she should not have been granted bail. If I was there representing her, I'm not just saying, but if, and this is not knocking at her lawyer, but her lawyer should have argued that she be sent home on her own recognizance. The lawyer should have argued that the case be dismissed right there, because the judge said, why is this person here in my court? Why? And that was a cue. But you see, too much TikTok lawyers and TikTok, and that's what confuses things so much. Melissa Atwell has not committed a crime. Whatever minor immigration infraction that she's alleged to have committed by overstaying, it was waived when she got married to a U.S. citizen and he petitioned for her. That was waived. It is immigration law. That's the policy. So don't let people tell you, oh, she overstayed, she broke the law. You know how many of them came backtrack, corrected themselves? You know how many of them with questionable marriage and all these sort of things? I'm talking about the PPP guys. You know how many of them are like that? And so don't run away changing the goalposts because some of you may have some hard feelings towards Melissa Atwell. I mean, she's not perfect. I mean, there are times when I see she posts some stuff and I'm like, oh, not today. But she's entitled to that. It's a democracy. Some of you don't agree with sometimes don't agree with what I say, and I respect that. Some of you want me to come on this program or my program, whichever program, and hug up Aubrey Norton and say Aubrey is God. And because I refuse to say that, this is nothing personal against Aubrey or whatever. But some of you don't like me because of my views on Aubrey Norton at this point in time, or my views on Nigel Hughes or whomever else. Some of you don't like me when I say to hell with Azruddin. These are the people that actually weren't concerned about Guyana, the Mohammeds and them. They weren't concerned about people. They weren't concerned about human rights violations. They weren't concerned about whether the Stalin and the Parika Stalin and these things, they weren't concerned about fighting for justice for anybody. They weren't concerned. And my position is let them fight their own battle. Some of you may disagree with me on that, but in a democracy, let us agree to disagree. That's it.
Well said.
I see Flash Garden back and forth all over the place. Flash, stick to your Aubrey Norton national anthem. Don't fight up with immigration. It ain't making sense, Flash. It ain't adding up.
Yeah. No, Flash is not. Flash is not gonna pivot. Flash is a perennial Aubrey Norton supporter, and it is democratic right. As we say on these programs, some of them feel that them is the only one get democratic rights. Nobody else can get democratic rights. Is what they say, and that's it. They'll beat you up for that, boy. You gotta be careful with some of them. And Frank Rice is hot tonight. Frank Rice, I see your Kwame comment there. All right, Frank Rice. I hope you got more than one CXC. All right.
Yeah, I noticed saying that they usually ask these questions, of course, to see if the marriage. They want to see that the marriage is real, and that is why. For those of you who have petition in marriage petition through a U.S. citizen, it's got to be real. They want to hear you guys. They want to see that you guys are in a genuine relationship. And that is why the interview. I've had some clients who have had their interviews waived. It depends on the officer. It depends on how fast the officer works. And it depends on a lot of things. Each case is different. All the cases are not the same. So not because somebody got through within 2 or 3 months mean that everybody's going to get through. Some get through within 4 months, some within a month, some within 6 months, some have to wait a year, some wait longer. It all depends on the circumstances. So each case is not the same. Some of you might say, oh, but me girlfriend get through, me get a friend get through, or this body get through, or this man get through. Everybody's case is different. And stop listening and let your heart beat quick when you listen to them face. What is it? TikTok folks. Do not listen. If you have an application in the system, just be patient. They have some people who could have rectified their situation years ago, and they just want it to be rectified. It must be rectified within 2 days or 3 days, or what's going on. Be patient, guys. Let not your heart be troubled. That is all I say. Be patient. Those of you who are still holders of green card and you haven't done your citizenship yet, now is the time to do it. If you've lived here more than 5 years and you want to apply, you can apply. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, you can apply as soon as you reach 2 years or 2 years and a few months. You can apply. You don't have to wait until the entire 5 months, 5 years, sorry. And even if you are in the process of removing your conditions, you can still apply for your citizenship. Just make sure you don't spend a heck of a lot of time outside of the U.S., because that is going to rule, it's going to be negative against whenever you apply for citizenship. So you have to spend more time in the U.S. than outside of the U.S. And so with the Melly Mel situation, Melissa Atwell is married to a U.S. citizen. They have thus far not seen any evidence that the marriage is questionable. Certainly not. No evidence of that. And I do hope that whoever her lawyer is would, and this is what the lawyer should have done, because she has been waiting for a final decision over a year now. That decision should have been made, and it should have been made in favor of Melissa Atwell. There's nothing blocking her from getting her green card.
And Mark, if I may, when you talk about people living in the United States for more than 5 years, you know, of course, once you're over 5 years, you're eligible to apply for your citizenship. Are you providing these services? Can people reach out to you?
Yeah, but across the board, we do removal, which is the deportation. We do asylum. We do everything. And for instance, I cannot go in a courtroom to argue on a deportation case. Otherwise, I would have been right there arguing, and probably would have been successful. Sorry, I sound like Trump. Probably would have been successful. Melissa Atwell would have been out today. But we do have lawyers. I would assign certain cases. I'll call up a lawyer and say, look, there's a deportation case. Let's work on it together so we can help this person out of the system. And we've been successful in a couple of cases that we have done. And so, yes, we do that. We do citizenship application as well. And we try to, as best as possible, to have lots and lots of success stories. And that is what we've had, success stories, many of them. You know, one of the things I say to clients, let's be truthful. Let's put proper evidence in place. And once you have an application with the required evidence or required documents, there is always a high possibility that your application will be approved. You've just got to be patient. You just got to be honest, and everything has to be done properly.
Okay, Mark, if you have nothing else to add with regards to immigration, I have one final question that I would like to ask you. Mr. SLG is saying, why don't the coalition give a young person like Elson Lowe an opportunity to be the presidential candidate? If you don't mind, if you want to elaborate there.
Can I respond by way of a song? Am I allowed? This is your show. Am I allowed to respond by way of a song?
I am sure that the audience would like to hear what the song is, so you might as well go right ahead, Mr. Benchcop.
Here's my response.
I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. Can't take it.
Well, Elson Lowe is a young man. He means well. I like his energy. A little more experience, a couple more years, and then we can talk with our young brother, Elson Lowe. And I hope that answers the question about my position on that. A couple more years, Elson Lowe. This is not where you just run around and you're just picking people out of you get like it's bingo. Politics is not bingo. And again, Elson Lowe, in another 5-10 years, Elson Lowe will be a strong candidate. folks like Elson Lowe would be a strong candidate. I like his style. He wants to get, you can see the energy that he has. And you have to respect young people or people in general who show that sort of interest and willing to make sacrifices. And I think he has made sacrifices, but I'm not the one to say, now is not the time for people, or now is not this person's time or whatever. But I'm just going based on political experience that the electorate probably wouldn't be feeling an Elson Lowe vibes at this time.
Yeah, I agree with you. The framework of what you're dealing with Guyana from an economic perspective is going to be quite complex, and it's not just all about economics. It's being able to navigate, all the geopolitics and everything. That's a lot to put on a young person. I believe that we need to go with good, strong experience to settle down everything. Right now, we're one of the fastest growing economy. It needs to reflect directly on the people of Guyana. And even when it comes to the ministry of a minister of finance, I would want to look strongly at a Winston Jordan, because I believe that experience is needed at this time. But Mark, thank you.
What is it that we're looking for is not positions right now. We know that there are lots and lots of competent individuals in the opposition, and the unity is needed, and the positions will come after. This is not about position, who got to be prime minister, who got to be president, who got to be my minister of finance, who got to be this or what. It's too much energy being focused in those sort of things. Positions, because they have some people who feel that they can't function without a position. So at the end of the day, we've got to be careful. We need people who are energetic enough, people who have the vision, whether they're young people like Chisel Pepper, whether they're old people like me, or whether they're middle-aged people like you, Wayne. It's all about fighting for what is right for Guyana and not fighting for positions. The minute you hear people start fighting for position, is walla walla bing bang, right?
Yeah, but Mark, under this opposition, BNAP, it's going to have a lot of people. You have the Honorable Simona Brooms, you got the Honorable Apostle Nigel London. You have coming with the People's Movement, and there's a lot of people. It's going to be a major collage, of people when it's all said and done, So we have to wait and see. That's why I said the talk in the conversations should have started right after the biannual Congress, because you need time. You need to spend time with each other. You need to discuss the issues, I'm hoping that they can come to a decision though by the end of the day on Monday.
I'm not too optimistic that they will come to a decision that will benefit the people, unfortunately. However, I hope that even after that, they will come to the realization that that's the way forward, to have a strong coalition and to have a strong presidential candidate and to have a strong team. You cannot win an elections with a weak team. You cannot go into an elections divided. You cannot go into an elections with bad blood with each other. It's just not going to happen. And so those guys in the opposition, they've got to get their act together. I noticed one saying that they have to plan ahead. Yeah, you plan ahead. But planning ahead doesn't mean that everybody has to fight for positions. Some of us have to stay outside. Some of us have to stay outside to fight. And competent people will have to go inside to make up the government and the cabinet and so forth. And I'm hoping that once the opposition is successful, that there wouldn't be square pegs in round holes. They should not be a repeat of what happened under the coalition government, where some of those ministers were merely square pegs in round holes, and they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. This doesn't mean that they lost the elections, because there's no evidence to show that the coalition lost the 2020 elections. In fact, sufficient evidence is being exposed right now to show that the PPP rigged with their friends from overseas rig the 2020 elections. That is why they're in power today. And the power has to be taken back from them next elections.
Well, very, very well said, Mr. Benchop. Very, very well. Excellent, excellent, excellent point. Yes, I agree. The 20-
Whoever Mr. SLG is, you can tell. Maybe is one of them own people. Every minute I don't know who he or she is, but I am quick to find to see them fake profile, right? Mr. SLG. I've never seen whoever he or she is, but we know what the agenda is, though. But thank you so much. Glad that folks have behaved themselves. Francine Cruz behaved herself. She and the people bingo money this week, and John behaved herself, and all these different things. So good. And thank you for having me on your show. And I'm glad that I didn't take over your show so that your people can be petty.
you did an excellent job. Of course, the audience and the listeners and viewers, they're always on top of their games, man. They keep you up and alert, man. Up and alert. Granger. Yeah, Kwesi, Ogenga, I see Granger returning. Older, wiser, better. You see, Mark, everybody out there, Democratic right, and everybody saying whatever, you know?
Yeah, I noticed Flash Garden again. Flash one get help with the citizenship. All you got to do, Flash, you don't have to make that public, sir. All you got to do is inbox me. That's all. Chisel, chip, pep, and all you got to do is inbox me. You know,
reach out, Flash. Reach out.
That's all you got to do. Frank Rice and all you guys. You know, Francine Cruz. Well, she gonna pass bingo. For them people bingo money. But thank you so much to Wayne, and I'm glad that Melissa Atwell will soon hit the streets and she will continue doing what she does best. And I do hope that she would use her platform this time and understand what needs to be done. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that she needs to take a different strategy, use a different strategy, continue on the same path, but just a different strategy. I'm glad that some people who are known for telegraphing their shots are no longer telegraphing their shots. They're staying silent, which is good. Stay silent for everything else. It works. Thank you so much, Mr. Caesar. And thanks to all of the people who have made this freedom happen for Melissa Atwell. It's a collective effort, not a one-man or one-woman show, a collective effort. And are we allowed to give this guy the award? This guy in, what is it, handcuffs and shackles? And these are the people who are laughing, people like Atwell and those. This guy is in shackles?
Look, Mark, you know, it's interesting. And you show the guy there. It just shows you the complexities of Guyana and how lawless the country is. Now, this guy is doing lives all during the week, calling Guyanese hungry belly and everything else. And then when they come to the comedy show on Thursdays, you see him sitting down, oh, Dr. Jagdio this, Dr. Jagdio that, like if he's a professional. You know, it's just funny, the peaks and valleys that you see with Guyana, man. It's crazy.
This coming elections, we have to focus our energy on things that are beneficial. We should not be distracted. And you see people going around in a little Lamborghini and a little this, it's a distraction. There are people who don't mean well for you. And sooner or later, you guys will find out what I mean by that. But again, thank you so much for your time. Oh, shucks, it's your show, right? Sorry about that.
Yes, Mark. Do you have any closing remarks? Something, give us something that encourages the Guyanese people, whether it is to prepare yourself to go out and vote or vet your leaders or vet the parties, you know, look at who is going to take care of your issues, whatever it is that you want to say to the people of Guyana. But something.
Yeah, I just want them to keep hope alive and don't be distracted. There are people who may come to you with flowers and pretend as though they're giving you flowers, that they like you, that they really love you, and they want to do something for you, and they're using you. Read between the lines, guys. There are people who never care about you. There are people who insulted you before. There are people who never cared about injustices meted out to you. They are part or parcel of people who bought up and took away your lands and all these things. And when the people of Mukka were going through their crisis, they didn't give a damn about you. When the people of Linden, when people are being slaughtered in that country, they never give a damn about you. But suddenly, because their back's against the wall, they're running into your villages. They're running to Alverston. They're running all over, all over. Suddenly they care about you, right? Because what they're doing, they are using you guys as human shields. Do not be used as shields for people who have an agenda that doesn't fit into yours. And so, sorry, that was a big shade that I threw.
No.
Right.
Mark, you just knocked down doors. We're supposed to be closing. But when you say that, you make me think of the point that the PPP saying just vote for them again. There's another cash grant coming your way.
Well, the PPP, that's all they can do. They don't create jobs. They don't do anything that's proper. But all I'm saying to people, do not be fooled. Suddenly, Lamborghini man giving you guys the impression that he loves you. No, he is trying to use you guys as shields. They never care about you. They never spoke out about you. They never cared about injustices. They never cared about extrajudicial killings. But suddenly, because them and Jack, they're at war, they want to walk the streets now and pretend as though they like you guys because they want to use y'all as human shields. And if you guys are not careful, that sort of setup is going to get out of hand and somebody will get hurt. Now, I'm not calling on people. I'm not wishing anybody to get hurt. But what I'm seeing, it's going to get out of hand. Somebody going to beat somebody with some stick. Somebody going to chop somebody, or somebody may pull out a gun. That is what we're seeing. And if we can see the writing is on the wall, then something is wrong with us. Guys, take a second look, pull back, observe, and let people fight their own battle. It doesn't worth it for you guys to get involved in this personal war between these people and those people, if you know what I mean. I'm out of here. I hope.
Well said, Mark. Well said, Mark. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. And see you next time, Mr. Benchcock.
Yeah, appreciate it. And yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
And good night to all of your listeners too.
A big good night from Mark. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to close, okay, the opposition, we must stay unified. Okay, we are looking forward to a decision on Monday. Mark would have just said that he is not overly optimistic that there's going to be a decision on Monday. Well, I'll say this. I am overly optimistic that there must be a decision on Monday, because the Guyanese people has been waiting since the biannual Congress. You cannot want to be the new government if you cannot be proactive. So this needs to be done. If it is that they got to spend all night tonight, all night tomorrow night, and until 12 a.m. Monday, then that needs to be done. It needs to be done. The Guyanese people have been awaiting a decision for a very, very, very long time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys, for joining. Thank you guys for all your comments. Flash, you've been very active. Beatrice Shelby, I see you here. I see everyone. Michelle Justice. If I didn't call your name, not because I didn't want to call your name. It's just busy, right? So, until next time, brothers and sisters, continue to hold your heads up. I was looking at a comment that says, continue to hold your head up. Yes. Hold your heads up. We know what we're dealing with, okay? And we shall overcome, okay? We are going to invoke the spirits of our ancestors, brothers and sisters, all right? The love in me sees the light in each and every one of you. So until Saturday, next Saturday, I want you all to take care of yourselves. Love you, love you, love you. Good night, brothers and sisters. Good night.